Hugo, Vice Chair Liz Cheney says the committee is still considering criminal referrals. Take a listen.
That process is one that we're discussing now. I don't want to go too far down the path in terms of specifics about it, but it's something I can tell you all of the members of the committee take seriously.
Hugo, what is your reporting telling you about the way the committee is leaning?
Look, there's been a lot of discussions about this inside the committee, through the early stage of the investigation, even through until kind of recent weeks. And I think there is a general consensus now that they do want to make some sort of statement that says, we believe, we, the January 6th committee, believe there have been crimes that have been committed, and, we want the Justice Department to investigate that. I think it's not going to be so much of a formal referral. That's certainly the kind of the way conversations are heading, not least because the DOJ has already opened multiple investigations, whether it's with the rally organizers or the people who actually stormed the Capitol on January 6th. As you mentioned, there's a seditious conspiracy trial ongoing right now with the Oath Keepers, and also with the fake elector scheme, where there is, the Justice Department has issued 30 or 40 subpoenas to people close to the former president, including the people that were at the White House who went down with him to Mar-a-Lago after the presidency. And so I think the January 6th committee is very cognizant of that, but they are in a position where they think they have enough to say, Donald Trump and the people around him committed crimes, and they want to make a statement to that effect.
All right, Lisa, that is the 1/6 piece of all of this. I also want to ask you about Justice Thomas overseeing Trump's latest special master appeal. It seems to be the consensus that this is all about delaying, which he is wont to do. Sort of your sense of if there is any bigger strategy here, and whether or not the court can really do anything but uphold the rule of law here. It seems crystal clear how this is going to go.
Look, the rule of law is not supposed to be transactional. And of course, that hits a wall with Donald Trump, for whom everything has always been transactional. Alicia, let's take your first question first about Justice Thomas. What do I think he'll do? The strategy that Trump's lawyers are appearing to employ here, yes, is about delay. But what I think they really want is to put the 103 documents with classified markings back in their own hands. You'll note that what Team Trump is asking for here is not to stop the Department of Justice from looking at those documents themselves. They just want to restore those documents to the hands of the special master. The question is, why? One reason is, as you say, because it delays the whole process. But the second reason is it gives them a preview of what might be coming down the pike for their client, the former president, if and when the Department of Justice issues an indictment. I don't think it's likely to be a successful strategy. I do think Justice Thomas will ultimately involve his colleagues in that decision, but it's just a Hail Mary from Team Trump, probably at their client's behest.